if I fall in and I can't get up. 2 hours later, when you get the medical bill, wait a minute, my plan is supposed to cover this. How am I supposed to pay this? In the last few months, we've seen that President Trump has been attempting to repeal the Affordable Care Act, which is the nation's welfare program for accessible and affordable health care. Domestic correspondent Robert Pear and Congress reporter Thomas Camplin in the New York Times article from September 27th of this year states that President Trump thinks that the repeal will go through Congress next year. Being a college student, affordable healthcare is very appealing, and we would like to keep it that way, especially when we're going to be off our parents' plans in a couple of years. I know all of you said that you were under your parents' plans and you were thinking, how does this pertain to me? Well, in a couple of years, the act might not be there anymore, therefore affordable healthcare might not be here either. Not only will we lose affordable healthcare though, we will also open up the floor for Republicans currently in the House of Representatives and Congress to repeal more acts that are necessary in our nation's welfare state. So first I would like to talk about the status quo of the act, then I would go into the problems of the repeal, the causes of the problem, and solutions we can take in order to fix the problem. So first, the Affordable Care Act was signed in place by Obama in 2012/2013 and implemented into law. Americans must prove that they are eligible for affordable health care coverage, including doctor and medical payments, and there are regulations for employers for their employees to receive total health care coverage. It also expands the current back then healthcare programs to other groups of people, such as women who are pregnant and single parents. It also increased eligibility for children to receive healthcare coverage under their parents' plan and under different children welfare programs. So the list may be extensive with what is under the Act. However, it allows federal and state programs to be expanded in order to reach all Americans. So I would like to talk about the problem, causes, and solutions in California specifically, since this pertains to us the most. So first, I'd like to address the problems at the moment. So the problem is that if the act is repealed, it will lead to increased premium payments and decreased federal funding, which means that more Americans will have to pay for affordable health care at rates they cannot afford. In Covered California's 2017 update on their website says that they have dental coverage, vision payments coverage, drug coverages, and maternity coverage payments for ultrasounds and such. In a 2015 study by health economist Professor Richard Schaeffler, political analyst Eric Kessel, and Margaret Brent, who has a master's in public health, they noticed that California has 19 different regions, which was signed by the state legislature for Covered California to work under. And in those 19 regions, 1.2 million Californians are covered by Covered California. And that is an issue because if the act is repealed, then 1.2 million Californians will be losing their health care coverage at the moment. Soumya Karlamangla, in an August 1st LA Times article, reported that the premium increases will be increased by 12.5%, and Anthem Blue Cross hopes to drop many of their members. So this creates a huge problem for a lot of Californians because many are covered by Anthem Blue Cross as well as different Covered California programs at the moment. However, there is the idea that the repeal will help California, in which that there will be an increase in federal payments to these programs, which will lead to more enrollment. However, this only covers the people who can receive it at a certain income level, and there will be many that will be left out. So now that I talked about the problems, I'd like to go to the causes. One of the main causes is that President Trump, as well as the GOP, has been attempting to repeal the act, and ever since President Trump came into place as our president, the efforts have increased because the Republicans are now in control of both the presidency as well as both houses. In the Washington Post, Heather Long, a Washington reporter, in September 25th reported that Trump attempts to decrease the taxes on the wealthy, which will increase the national debt, as well as decrease federal funding for different programs such as healthcare programs. However, Another cause is the act itself. It is an extensive 2,000 plus pages of different requirements, and it's made it very difficult for politicians to understand and make decisions regarding the act, which is why it's being repealed, why it's in the motion for being repealed. The Kaiser Family Foundation in 2013 updated their website, kff.org, with the whole list, which is a very long scroll because I went through the whole thing, and it's very long. So now that I've talked about the causes, I would like to talk about the solutions we can take. One is to create a SparkNotes version of the act. I know that sounds ridiculous, but that will be very helpful for politicians to understand and make decisions regarding what they need to do with the act, instead of just repealing it. Yes, there are replacements that are being offered, however, they're not substantial enough as much as the Affordable Care Act is at the moment. Another solution could be voting. If the repeal happens, it is most likely that California will create its own Affordable Care Act in order to support Californians who will lose their premiums and coverage of healthcare. That doesn't solve the national part of it, but it does solve the local and state part of it. I'd like to conclude with the overview, which I've discussed the problem of the repeal, what it offered, how it impacts a lot of people, the causes, President Trump and the GOP, as well as the act itself, and I give you solutions, voting, SparkNotes. And I'd like to leave you with this. After all of what I've talked about, are you a little concerned about where you are at the moment with your healthcare? If not, that's okay because finals are very dreading. But if you are, then take the time to evaluate your life and where you will be in the next couple of years. After all, our future is not always in our hands. Thank you.